All right, let's get down to business here. And the Dallas Mavericks, this is the official tweet from Shams. I'm just going to say it out there. So the Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleba, and Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first round pick. The three-team deal includes Utah as well. Okay, let's talk about this deal. I mean, this is just flat out insane, first of all. Like, you never see a top five player mid-season get traded like this unless they demand a trade. That's the first thing out of it. And that's why it's just flat out ridiculous that it even happened at this point. You know, Luka Doncic, there was no indication that Luka Doncic wanted out. None. And reporting has come in that Luka doesn't, he didn't ask for a trade. This just happened out of the blue. So you're like, okay, what are the reasons here that why would the Mavs want to move on from a 25-year-old superstar that's a top four player in the NBA that led your team to the NBA finals last year? Let's think of the reasons. And for me, there's not many reasons. That's why this trade is just flat out insane and confusing to me, because it's like Luka Doncic is literally their offense. You created your team around this guy and you made it to the NBA finals last year. So what are the reasons? And here are some of the reasons that coming up with and thinking about it. It's okay, you got to pay him a super max coming up next year. He's going to be eligible for that, of course, because of just how good this guy is. And then also you're looking at the only thing that's really concerning is shape, I guess. And I mean, when you're a top five player in the world, I don't think shape really matters, you know? Everything I heard, I listened to Bill Simmons, Ryan Russillo talk it over, and they were like, dude, if Luka Doncic is playing on your team and he's smoking cigarettes on the court, I would still pay him the supermax. And I think anybody would, because Luka Doncic is just that much of a creator and just elevates your team in a different level than almost anybody else. And that's what makes it so crazy on why they'd want to trade him in the first place. Yes, you'd have to pay him $350 million. When you have that caliber of a player, you kind of have to do that because he's that guy. So to me, that's the insane part. That's the crazy part. That's why this trade is just unbelievable. And, the pod had to come back for this trade because this is just ridiculous about this Luka Doncic deal to the Lakers. And talking about the fit here too, you're looking at Luka, LeBron, and then you got Austin Reeves. You got a lot of pieces on the Lakers that can really be beneficial. And Luka he makes your bad players average, And I really think with the Lakers, he's going to elevate these guys and put them at a higher level, So I'm excited to see what Luka can do with the Lakers. I think they've been winning a lot. They're up near the fifth, the fourth seed in the West. And with this, does it make you better in the short term? Maybe not, because right now Luke is dealing with injuries and you're not going to have much defense. But you also have two of the best players to start their careers we've ever seen with LeBron James and Luka Doncic. LeBron is not at the top 5 level now. He's still at the top 15 level. If you're looking at Luka, he's at a top 5 level. So looking at it that way, you got a lot of pieces here defensively, offensively. Defensively, it's going to be more of a struggle. You lost your rim protection. You lost your defensive anchor in Anthony Davis. You got guys like Jared Vanderbilt. You got guys like Dorian Finney-Smith. Dorian Finney-Smith's going to have that chemistry with Luka because they played together a while back. So that might help there. And you got a lot of pieces to try to figure it out. I think the next move for the Lakers is probably going to be to look at, okay, how can we get some rim protection on this team? Because they don't really have it. Whether that's a guy like Robert Williams on the Trailblazers, then your concern is, oh, shoot, he doesn't really stay on the court very much. So there's a lot of interesting pieces we can look at for the Lakers going forward, which I'm excited to see. But I mean, if you're the Lakers, you do this deal 10 times out of 10. From the reporting, Dallas called LA and was like, hey, we want to trade Luka Doncic, but we want your guy, Anthony Davis. So let's make a deal happen. And if you're the Lakers, you have to do that. It's Luka Doncic is a top 5 player. You have to make this trade no matter what, even if it makes you worse in the short term. And that's what they did. And this is just a really, really insane deal. It's unbelievable. Now let's switch it over and look at it from the Mavs perspective. Okay. So we talked about reasons why you trade Luka, right? So even if you come to the conclusion that, okay, we're going to trade Luka, here's my question for you if you're the Dallas Mavericks. Why don't you leak it to the press? If you leak it to the press, then you're going to get every NBA team calling you and trying to give you everything. Instead, they went to the Los Angeles Lakers. They chose a star, which was Anthony Davis. They called the Lakers and was like, let's make a deal to do Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic. Why don't you have other teams try to go get him? Because this deal, looking at it, this is so lopsided towards the Los Angeles Lakers. You only got one pick out of this. And you got Anthony Davis, Christie. Okay, solid pieces, blah, blah, blah. But does this really make you better? In the short term, I think it makes you worse. There's not much offense. Kyrie Irving has been proven to not show up in playoff series like consistently on the offensive end. So do you really think with a lockdown defender on him, like a Lou Dort and a Casey Wallace and all those guys being able to go at you with the Oklahoma City Thunder, that Kyrie's going to be successful offensively? I don't really think so. I think it makes it a lot more difficult because Kyrie's great. I love Kyrie. He's been playing great basketball. He's been doing things. But, I mean, like, can we even rely on him to stay this locked in as he's been for the last year and a half? Like, I don't know. Like, now you lost Luka. Luka was kind of that balancing force. So it's really interesting to me looking at this. Like, okay, do they really believe that they got that much better? Because they could have called San Antonio and been like, hey, we want to trade you Luka Doncic. Why don't you give us like 7 first-round picks, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, a couple more young guys, and call it good? And they might have done that trade. That's how much trade value that Luka Doncic actually has. And that's why the fact that they just went here and were like, hey, we just want to do this trade. We just want to get this star. It's crazy to me. And if you're looking at like lists of NBA players, of top NBA players, I think Anthony Davis would be around like the 12, 13 range, and Luka Doncic would be top 3. And yes, that doesn't seem like too much of a difference in tier value, but when you're looking at it that way, if you have Luka Doncic on your team and a bunch of scrubs, you still have a shot to win the NBA Finals. If you have Anthony Davis on your team and a bunch of scrubs, you're not making the playoffs. That's just the facts. So that's why, to me, like, it's like, okay, you can want Anthony Davis, but why don't you go get 2 Lakers first round picks? Like throw in all of their young talents. Go get Dalton Knecht. Go get Austin Reeves. Like if it was Austin Reeves, Dalton Knecht, Anthony Davis, and 2 or 3 first round picks, I'd be more okay with this trade. But instead, you just got Max Christie and a first round pick. It's like, I feel like you could have done way more. You definitely could have gotten something else from this trade. That's what makes it just flat out insane. And the fact of the matter is the Lakers have done it again. They've gotten a guy like that nobody saw was available, and they went and got this. They did this in 2008, 2007 when they got Paul Gasol to pair with Kobe, and now you got this. You got Luka Doncic to pair with LeBron James. This is just a flat-out insane dynamic duo. LeBron's been playing great basketball as of late, so it doesn't seem like he's slowing down very much. He's at 40 and still playing ridiculous. This is just a flat-out win for the Lakers. Even if it hurts them in the short term, like LeBron, it doesn't seem like LeBron's going to be retiring anytime soon. It just doesn't. And especially if he's got a guy like Luka Doncic, maybe he tries for 1 more chip. Maybe he tries for 2 more chips. Like we really, really don't know here. And for the Lakers, this is a flat out win. And if I'm looking at it from the Mavs side, it's like, I don't know how good they are. Like, I don't know how this made you better. Your timeline got worse. You got 2 32-year-olds as your 2 best players. And you didn't get much draft capital out of this. You got 1 pick. So I get it. You wanted out of Luka Doncic business. I guess I get that because I would never. And I think a lot of people would never want out of the Luka Doncic business. So even if I were to get the fact that you want out, why not leak it to the press? And why not go, hey, we want 7 first-round picks. We want 3 young guys. We want why don't we go after Giannis Antetokounmpo, see if the Bucks will ever trade him? Why don't we go after Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, see if the Thunder will ever trade him? Go get a tier 1 guy. Instead, you got a tier 2 guy, a decent young player, and 1 first-round pick. When, if you wanted to, you probably could have gotten a tier 2 guy, a really solid role player in Austin Reeves, a really solid young role player in Dalton Knecht, 2 first-round picks, maybe 3. Maybe throw Max Christie in there too. And the Lakers probably still would have done it. I think they definitely could have gotten way more. But anyways, I'm going to bring in Matt Griffin and AJ Masucci, and we're going to talk about it further.